Last October, I took a solo road trip I'll never forget. I was driving from my small hometown of Clearwater Pines all the way out to the base of the Stonevale Mountains to meet a friend. I planned to do it in one shot, just me, my car, and 16 hours of open road cutting through forests, forgotten towns, and long stretches of absolutely nothing. I figured if I drove through the night and powered through the next day, I'd save time and money. No need for an extra hotel. Just push through. I thought I was being smart. But looking back, it might have been one of the worst decisions I've ever made. I hit the road just after 7 p.m. The sky was fading into deep blue, and I had everything packed. Snacks on the passenger seat, energy drinks in the console, and music queued up. The first hour was uneventful. Just streetlights, small towns, and the occasional passing car. Then the city lights disappeared, and I was swallowed by the dark. No traffic, no signs of life. Just my headlights, slicing through endless stretches of forest and open plains. For a while it was peaceful, almost meditative. But by the second hour, I noticed my gas tank dipping. It wasn't critical, but I had no idea how far the next open station would be, so I decided to top off before it got risky. It took nearly 20 minutes before I found a place, some rickety, dimly lit gas station off the side of a 2-lane highway, 4 old pumps, flickering overhead lights, and a convenience store that was long closed for the night, the kind of place that time forgot. I pulled in, parked next to a pump, and started fueling. But the gas came out slow. I mean really slow, like it was struggling to pump a gallon per minute. I leaned against the car, phone in hand, just waiting. That's when another car showed up. It came down the road doing maybe 25, way under the speed limit. It passed the gas station, then hit the brakes and reversed in the middle of the road and pulled into the lot. That set off the first alarm bell in my head. It parked at the pump behind me. I didn't look right away, just kept my eyes on my own gas pump, pretending not to notice. But I could hear the car door open. Someone stepped out. No sound of footsteps, no motion at all. Curiosity got the better of me. I glanced over. The man standing beside the car was tall, thin, and wearing a wrinkled gray flannel with dark jeans. His face was pale under the yellow gas station lights, and he was just staring at me, eyes locked, no smile, no nod, just watching. I gave him a quick, awkward nod and turned back to my car, forcing myself not to look again. But my skin crawled. I could feel his eyes drilling into my back. It wasn't paranoia, it was instinct. After what felt like a full minute, I finally heard him pick up the gas pump. That eased the tension a little. Maybe I was just overreacting. Maybe he was exhausted and zoning out like me. Still, I didn't wait to finish fueling. I capped the tank, jumped back in the car, and pulled out. As I looked in my side mirror, I caught a glimpse of him still staring at me, expressionless, unmoving. I shook it off and drove on. 3 hours passed. The rain started, light at first, then heavier. The road got slick, and my focus sharpened. It was exhausting trying to stay alert. I cracked open an energy drink, munched on something salty, but it barely helped. By 1 a.m., I was wiped out. When my tank dipped low again, I pulled into another gas station. This one even more run down than the last. Still, it had power, working pumps, and no other cars in sight. I filled up, then parked off to the side of the building. The rain pelted my windshield as I checked the weather on my phone. Nothing but rain and empty road for miles. No nearby towns, no hotels. I figured a quick power nap might help. Just 30 minutes. Enough to get me through the rest of the drive. I set my alarm, leaned the seat back, and closed my eyes. When I woke up, the rain was still tapping against the roof. The car was cold. My phone said only 25 minutes had passed, but something felt off. I sat up and instinctively looked out the windshield, and my stomach dropped. There was a car parked at one of the pumps. Same make, same model, same exact car from earlier. I leaned forward, squinting through the rain. It had to be the same guy. My breath caught in my throat, but there was no one inside, no one around the pumps, no movement at all. Where was he? I scanned the entire lot, heart pounding, nothing, nowhere to hide, except... I turned my head slowly, dread sinking into my bones, and then I saw him. In the reflection of my rearview mirror, his face was there. He was in my back seat, eyes wide, expression blank, pupils unmoving, just watching me. I didn't think. I didn't hesitate. I kicked the door open and leapt out, falling onto the wet pavement. The car was still in reverse, creeping backward. I scrambled to my feet and ran into the woods, heart hammering, soaked in rain and adrenaline. I never heard the door open, never heard him chase me, just watched from between the trees as my car slowly rolled back, then suddenly stopped. A second later, it shifted into drive, and he took off. He stole my car, left me stranded at some nameless gas station in the middle of a nowhere town, deep in the woods, with no phone in hand. Because I'd left it on the dashboard, I stood in the rain, frozen, shocked. But then I noticed something. He'd left his own car behind. I walked over, every instinct screaming not to. But I had no choice. I needed help, shelter, a phone. The car door was unlocked, keys still in the ignition, in the back seat, groceries still in bags. One container of milk hadn't even gone warm yet. And then, lying near the passenger seat floor, a phone. It wasn't locked by Face ID. I managed to dial 911. Police arrived 40 minutes later. What they told me chilled me to the core. That car wasn't his. None of the stuff inside belonged to him. He'd done this before, at another gas station, to someone else. Only that person hadn't been as lucky as I was. According to investigators, the man hadn't gotten in my back seat just to scare me. He likely intended to wait until we were further down the road, until we were in the middle of nowhere, and then make his move. Whatever that move was. I don't want to know, but here's something I want you to think about. If you were me, would you have sensed it sooner? Would you have done something differently? Let me know in the comments. I want to know how you would have handled it, and please, the next time you stop on a long, lonely road, always check your back seat. If you found this story chilling, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I've got more true horror stories on the way, and some of them are even darker than this. Stay safe out there. And remember, sometimes being alone doesn't mean you're really alone. It was a bitter January evening last year. One of those nights where the cold just sticks to your bones. I live in a small woodsy town called Pine Hollow, about 40 minutes outside the nearest city. My place is tucked in deep, surrounded by forest, where the houses are few and far between, quiet, peaceful, usually. That day, I had a short shift and was home by early evening. It felt like the perfect night to kick back, watch something, maybe order in. But just after 7, I got a call from my friend. He was having car trouble again, said he was stuck at his workplace and needed a ride home. No big deal. It wasn't the first time, so I said sure, grabbed my keys and jacket, and headed to the door. But the moment I opened it, my heart leapt into my throat. There was a man right there, standing on my front porch, less than a foot away. No knock, no sound, just standing. He was wearing a thick winter coat and a black gaiter scarf covering the lower half of his face. Strangely enough, he didn't even flinch when I opened the door. No startle, no apology at first. Just stared. I managed to ask if he needed something, trying to play it cool even though my instincts were screaming. He blinked once and said, "Sorry." I was about to knock. Then asked if I was someone named Darren, or maybe Daniel. It didn't even matter. I told him no. He nodded, said okay, and walked off the porch. But something about him, it just didn't sit right. I stepped outside, locked the door behind me, and watched him walk all the way down my driveway just to be sure. Then I got in my car and left. Would you have still gone out if that happened to you? Drop a yes or no way in the comments. I'm really curious. I picked up my friend, grabbed a quick bite at a local drive-thru, and dropped him off at his place. By the time I got back home, it was just after 9. Light snow had started falling. Nothing crazy, just a calm, steady flurry. I pulled into my driveway, unlocked the door, and stepped inside. The house was silent, warm, safe. I sank into the couch and threw something on the TV, letting my brain switch off for a while. At some point, maybe 2 hours later, I started feeling drowsy. I stood up, stretched, and turned the TV off. But as I walked past the front door, I remembered him. That guy, just standing there earlier, the way he looked at me. Something made me walk over and peek through the peephole, just to be sure. The porch was empty, still snowing, still calm. But then I noticed something. Faint trails in the snow, like footsteps. They started from the main road, led all the way up my driveway, near my car, and then veered off into the yard, disappearing into the trees. I opened the door a crack to get a clearer view. The cold hit my face, but the chill in my spine was worse. The prints were fresh. Someone had been here again. I slammed the door shut and locked every bolt and latch. I kept pacing from window to window, trying to make sense of it. Was it him again? Why would he come back? I finally grabbed my phone and called 911, trying to explain everything while keeping my eyes peeled outside. But while I was on the line, I started hearing something, a sound I couldn't place. Every time I paused and tried to listen, it went silent. Almost like it knew when I was paying attention. Then, bang! A thunderous thud shook the back of the house. I nearly dropped the phone. I ran to the hallway and turned toward the rear of the house. Another bang. Someone was at the back door, trying to break in. The lights inside made it hard to see clearly through the glass, but I could make out movement, a figure pacing outside the door. They were hitting it with something. Metal? Wood? I didn't know. I just knew it was heavy. The 911 operator's voice cut through my panic, telling me to either find a place to hide or get out now. I didn't even think. I grabbed my keys, bolted for the front door, and sprinted to my car. Even though I knew the man was behind the house, it felt like anything could be waiting. Someone else, another set of eyes. But there wasn't. I jumped in, slammed the door, started the engine, and peeled out of the driveway. The cops met me in town about 15 minutes later. When they went to check my house, they found the back door smashed in. Water-soaked footprints covered the kitchen floor. But the place was empty. Whoever it was, they were gone. All I could give them was the vague description of the man on my porch. No name, no license plate. And they never caught him. What still haunts me is this. Had I not opened that door earlier? Had I not remembered him standing there before bed? I might have never known someone was outside. If I had gone to sleep like normal, would they have broken in quietly? Would I have even woken up? Do you think this was random, or do you think he was targeting me? Let me know what you think, and whatever you do, lock your doors tonight. You ever get that gut feeling that something's wrong, even when everything seems fine? That was me, back in 2019. I was a sophomore in college, juggling classes, caffeine, and a babysitting gig that helped cover my car payments. I had this weekly job watching over a little 3-year-old boy named Cody. Super quiet, shy, and sweet. His parents, soft-spoken and polite, the kind of couple that smiled a little too much but never really said much. They'd always leave around 8 p.m., telling me Cody was already asleep and that I could just chill for the night. Easy money, right? That night, just like every other, I pulled into their quiet little neighborhood in Brookhaven Hills, a sleepy, woodsy suburb about an hour from the city. Their house sat at the edge of a cul-de-sac, tucked behind a line of pine trees, and always felt a little too still. You know, that eerie silence that feels like it's holding its breath. Yeah, that kind of quiet. Anyway, I walked in, greeted them, and they told me Cody was already asleep in their bedroom. Then they left, like usual. I put down my backpack, did my quick walkthrough of the house like I always did, just checking doors and windows out of habit, and then flopped into the living room chair, scrolling through my phone. About 45 minutes in, I got a call from an unknown number. Weird, but not super strange. Then the mom called right after. "Hey, did you just try to call me?" I blinked. "No, I've been here the whole time. Everything's fine." She paused. "Huh. Okay, must have been a glitch or something." Then she hung up. I brushed it off. Parents get anxious, no big deal. But 20 minutes later, I noticed headlights shine through the cracks of the living room blinds. They weren't moving. Curious, I peeked out and froze. A beat-up, dark gray sedan was parked right at the curb. It looked ancient, paint peeling, rust biting at the fenders, and blacked-out windows that made it look more like a hearse than a car. And someone was standing beside it. A man, average height, hoodie on, just staring at the house. I ducked down a little. He didn't move, just stood near the end of the driveway, facing straight at the living room window where I was sitting. After a long, tense minute, he turned and casually walked back to the car. But instead of driving away, he crept down the street at a crawl, then stopped again, farther down, just barely visible through the trees. His headlights shut off. Gone, but not gone. I stayed by the window for a while. Maybe it was a confused neighbor. Maybe not. I almost texted the parents, but didn't want to freak them out. 2 hours crawled by. I turned on the TV, keeping it low, and tried to relax. But something kept itching at the back of my brain. That guy, the way he looked at the house, how still he was, like he was deciding something. I found myself standing again, peeking through the blinds. Nothing. Just the dim glow of porch lights and shadows moving in the trees. That's when I started to doze off. I was in that weird half-awake state where you're kind of dreaming but aware you're still on the couch. I remember hearing a thump, but I thought maybe it was just the fridge or a heater kicking on. Then I heard it again, louder, that snapped me up. My heart started racing. I walked toward the stairs to check on Cody. As I passed the hallway, I caught something in the corner of my eye. There There was a man at the back door, pulling on the handle, staring directly at me through the glass. The second our eyes met, he yanked harder, more aggressive this time. The door rattled violently. I ran, bolted upstairs and grabbed Cody, whispering to him to stay calm. He stirred but didn't cry. The sound downstairs grew worse. Metal hitting wood, something cracking. He was trying to break in. I clutched Cody tighter and ran back down. My only thought, get to the car, fast. As I reached the front hallway, I heard a sharp crack, like plastic and metal snapping apart. I looked toward the back. The door was open, and the man was inside. He had a knife, and he was sprinting toward me. I didn't think. I just moved, threw open the front door, ran to my car, and jumped in. I barely locked it before reversing down the street. As I sped away, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw him just feet from my window. I called 911, gave them the address, then called the parents. By the time police arrived, the man was gone. The back door, busted open. The living room, wet footprints smeared across the tile, but no sign of him. The most chilling part? The parents never called me back, never even rehired me. They thanked me once that night. Then, radio silence, like they didn't want anyone asking questions. So I did some digging, found out the mom had been previously married to a guy who vaguely matched the man's appearance. That was it. Nothing concrete, no photos, no arrest records, just rumors. Was it a custody dispute, a stalker, or something worse? All I know is, if I hadn't seen him in that hallway, if I had been just a little slower grabbing that kid, I might not be here to tell this story. Have you ever babysat and experienced something you just couldn't explain? Drop your stories in the comments. I'm reading every single one. And remember, sometimes it's not just the dark you should be afraid of. It's who's waiting in it.